Today we're going to look at variables on both sides of an equation. So whenever we have an equation with a variable on both sides, it's very easy to work through and solve the problem in the usual manner. All we need to do is add or subtract a variable, the same variable from both sides, and the equation will be equivalent. Okay, so once again, adding or subtracting the same thing from both sides will make the equation equivalent. So if variables appear on both sides of an equation, you can just add or subtract it so that the variable only appears on one side. Here's a couple of examples that we can look at. So if we've got, here we've got a on both sides of an equation, and it's not the usual sort of problem we're used to seeing. If we subtract 2a from both sides, it will 2a minus 2a is going to be equal to 0, so we'll just be left with 13. And if we subtract 2a from this side, taking 2a away from 5a is going to be 3a. Notice, when we do subtract that 2a from both sides, these terms here that are only numbers, they're not like terms, so they're not affected. They're not affected in any way by subtracting 2a. The 10 still remains a 10 as that term, and that 13 still remains a 13. The only terms that are affected are those that are like terms to what we're doing before. Just like if we were to subtract away 13 from both sides, or if we were to subtract away 10 from both sides, the a's would not be affected because they're not like terms. It's exactly the same. So here's another example here. So if we've got 4b plus 12 equals 89 minus 3b, we've got b's on both sides there. We can add 3b here, and that will cancel out. Take away 3b, add 3b is equal to 0. So if we add 3b to both sides, that will remove it from this side, and 4b plus 3b is equal to 7b. Once again, you can see these terms here aren't affected because they're not like terms. So if we have a look at some examples here, 7t plus 4 is equal to 5t plus 10. We can subtract away 5t from both sides and thus remove that 5t there. So if we take 5t from both sides, 5t minus 5t is going to be 0, so we'll just be left with our 10 there. Taking away 5t from this side, we'll get 2t, because 7 t's, taking away 5 of those t's, we get 2 of those t's left. And once again, the 4 and the 10 here, which are not like terms for 5t, they are not affected. So now we've got something that we can solve in the usual manner. Subtracting away 4 from both sides gives 2t equals 6, because we've taken away 4 there. Take away 4 from 10, you get 6. 2t equals 6. Divide both sides by 2. And we get t equals 3. Here, we've got 6x plus 4 equals 22 minus 3x. So we can add 3x to both sides, and it will remove this minus 3x from this side. So adding 3x to both sides, we get 6x plus 3x is 9x, and that minus 3x plus 3x is going to be 0. Okay, so once again, 22, 4, not affected. Here we can now solve this. This looks very familiar. And we can solve it in the usual manner. So we can take away 4 from both sides, we are left with 9x, 22 minus 4 is 18, then we can divide both sides by 9, 9x divided by 9 is x, 18 divided by 9 is 2. Now, if we want to, we can check our answer by substituting this back into our original equation and seeing if this side is equal to this side. So let's do it with this one, x equals 2. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. Okay, so we've got 16 for this side. Now, if we substitute 2 in this side, 3 times 2 is 6. 22 minus 6 is 16. 22 minus 6 is 16. So we've got the same answer for both sides. So we can see that this equation down here, x equals 2, is equivalent, the same as this equation up here. Last example, here we've got 2u equals 7u minus 20. 2u equals 7u minus 20. So we can subtract 2u from both sides. Now doing this, 2u minus 2u, there are no other variables left on this side, but we know that 2u minus 2u is 0. So we can leave 0 on one side of the equation, that's no problem. 0 is just another number, okay? Every side here, this side here, would have plus 0 added to it, because adding 0 does nothing to the value of anything. Here, this side also has plus 0. So if we subtract 2u from this side, we're just left with 0. 2u minus 2u is 0. 7u minus 2u is 5u. This minus 20 here is left unchanged, once again. So now we've got 0 equals 5u minus 20. We can add 20 to both sides, okay, to remove some, because minus 20 plus 20 will be 0. So we'll be left with here, adding 20 to this side, we get 20. Adding 20 to this side, we're just left with 5u. Here we can divide both sides by 5. If we divide this 5u by 5, we get u. Divide 20 by 5, we get 4. Now, if that 4 equals u isn't mathematical convention, it's best to have the variable on the left-hand side. So, once again, an equivalent equation, we can switch both sides. And if we switch both sides here, we can get u equals 4.